I started out extremely skeptical about this whole thing. I thought this was just rubbish from the tabloids, but I was surprised to find thousands of U.S. government documents from intelligence agencies that tended to indicate that there was a little bit more to this than met the eye. So I went to seek guidance from the various highest levels of the United States intelligence community, and I was quite alarmed at what I was able to learn.
Now we are, in this report that we're now going to show, we're going to hear a conversation featuring you. Tell me the context of that conversation. Well,
I had contacted Admiral Bobby Ray Inman, who was the head of the National Security Agency in the United States, Deputy Director at CIA, Director of Naval Intelligence, and a variety of intelligence posts, a technologist, and clearly someone that, if this was really accurate, that there really were UFOs and non-human intelligence around, this is a man who had to know. So I was able to contact him thanks to a contact through Admiral Lord Norton here in the UK, and this conversation, he alarmingly not only indicated that these issues were covered under national secrecy laws, but that the United States government did in fact have possession of the hardware associated with this. In other words, this was an actual physical phenomenon. As
a craft, a spaceship.
Several of them, and they were in operational condition, which I assume suggested that they had been in contact, that they had been given these craft for some reason or another, because they certainly weren't crashed vehicles.
Do you anticipate that any of the recovered vehicles would ever become available for technological research outside of the military circles?
Again, I honestly don't know. 10 years ago, the answer would have been no.
Yeah.
Whether as time has evolved, they're beginning to become more open on it, is a possibility.
A short time later, Bob Oechsler received this call.
Mr. Oechsler, this is Tom King in Admiral Inman's office. Yes, you would be breaching confidence and/or violation of the secrecy laws in discussing his involvement in any matter.
I heard what you said earlier, but obviously the big problem always is the pictures are never conclusive.
The pictures, yes, are not conclusive, but when you get involved in an investigation and you find the extraordinary physical evidence left behind, and you talk to the witnesses, medical doctors, officials of governments and so forth, in one of the cases that we had just seen some video from, there was a Canadian official who was actually taken on board the craft. When you subject these areas of testimony to lie detectors, polygraph exams, using the kind of technology that we have to determine whether someone's actually telling the truth or not, the results become absolutely nothing short of alarming.
Okay, if these governments, the Canadian government, the American government, if they are in possession of spacecraft, if they have made contact with aliens, why don't they tell us?
What I was able to learn is that the issue of secrecy dates back into the early 1950s, and in 1959, actually, NASA had a study conducted by the Brookings Institution in Washington, D.C., addressing the issue of whether this alarming issue of a confrontation with an extraterrestrial culture should be released to the public, this information. It was determined that there would be grave consequences for just an overt public pronouncement by government officials. So a determination...
What does that mean? We would all panic?
Well, not necessarily just panic, but the issues that it presented, not only theology, but issues involving economics, standards of monetary concerns. If you acknowledge type of technology that renders fossil fuel-related industries obsolete, yes, for example, you have grave consequences economically all the way around the world.
Of course you do. All our values are rendered
so
useless and worthless then, yes.
The determination was made that the only way to avoid this chaos would be through a slow indoctrination process over a matter of decades.
You really believe? Have you had a close encounter, as they say, or have you seen UFOs?
Well, I wouldn't really call it a close encounter. I think it has more to do with the contacts I've had with the U.S. intelligence community, and being a technologist, being called in to analyze various video films and photographic evidence. It's quite conclusive to me. I have, in fact, seen with my own eyes on quite a number of occasions, well over 20 at very close range, a number of these vehicles. It's quite extraordinary technology. Anybody interested in technology would be, it's like a kid in a candy store, really.
And there's no way that you could be mistaken and it could have been an airplane, helicopter, something of that nature?
Well, Admiral Inman convinced me that these vehicles were not manufactured by human technology, so that's pretty conclusive for me.
Do you think, though, that the government know this is happening, know that it's going on, but why don't they want the rest of us to know? Why do they not want that?
Yes, you are correct. The government, many governments around the world do in fact know. In fact, NATO conducted a study in the 60s involving quite a number of these incidents. The decisions to maintain secrecy regarding this center more around not upsetting the economic apple cart, religion, theology issues that come into play, and quite a number of issues that essentially center around science and technology. We do have to come to grips with the reality that perhaps human beings aren't the only intelligence in the universe, and that they have in fact been here to visit. In spite of projects like the NASA SETI project, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence in deep space, there are serious issues associated with this. And we have a mentality where we like to kind of poke fun at the issue through tabloids and so forth.
And like this kind of thing, this is what we perceive an alien to be like.
Well, these are actual photographs taken from a case up in Canada that have indeed been authenticated by a Canadian government official who was taken on board the craft and apparently had some form of telepathic communication with the occupants, the pilots of the vehicle, as you might say. They are different than us, but it's interesting to note that they are humanoid and that they have 2 arms and hands and 2 eyes and so forth. They're quite much like us, only in significant ways they're different. Of course, if there's one that comes, there's obviously going to be more, and just like we have different species of humans on this planet, I'm quite certain there's different species of alien life forms. So we could run into malevolence. In fact, President Reagan on several occasions alerted concern about the potential hostilities from outer space and why it would be important for us to work together on this planet with superpowers and so on uniting. Clearly the problem that we're confronted with here is that although technologically these beings may be more intelligent than us, we appear to be more advanced in areas of civility. We have emotions and things like that, and we have concern for our fellow man, whereas that doesn't seem to be the case necessarily in some of these other cultures.
Bob, thanks very much indeed. It does seem strange that we can't get on with one another in this world, so you wonder whether we will get on with aliens, but thank you.
Right, thank you.